Good afternoon and welcome again to Prime Time, the show for those mature of years but still young and active of heart and spirit. I'm Anne Bunn.
And I'm Matthew Robertson.
And once again we are joined by two very entertaining guests on our sofa. I'd like to introduce you first to Bryan Ennis, who has come to join us from Hutton Short Mat Bowls Club, which is not that easy to say in actual fact, and Paul Main, who is from Gordano Valley Archery. So welcome both and nice to see you here.
Thank you.
Bryan, short mat bowls. I'm really going to have trouble saying that. I have to get some new teeth, I think. What can you tell us about it? I gather it was started in 1994 with a grant from the Parish Council.
Yes, Hutton Short Mat Bowls Club started in 1994, and the Borough Parish Council very kindly donated some money which helped pay for the first mat. Right. And the club has grown since then. Since then, we now have 3 mats that we use every time we bowl, and the club consists of currently 34 members, right. And we meet on a Monday and Thursday evening at 6:30, and those evenings are down to casual bowls most of the time, but we do bowl in leagues for the competitive person within the club, and there are some of them, and there is the Woodspring League that we bowl in that consists of 12 other clubs from villages around the area, right. Places like Bleedon, Kewstoke, even as far afield as Highbridge. We also have internal leagues within the club where members are split into 4 groups, and we bowl probably once a month with that league. We also compete in tournaments outside of Hutton, and in fact, last weekend we had a team at Hardwick up near Gloucester, and this coming weekend we have 2 teams going down to Ottery St Mary's near Exeter.
So you're quite globe-trotting then,
yes,
aren't you, really?
we do indeed, and that happens on a regular basis. Right. For the people who aren't so keen on the competition side of things, we do the social bowling every week. Right. We have lots of other social events as well, fish and chip supper nights.
Sounds good.
It certainly does. And we vary the bowls that we do. We sort of take the jack away and put a set of cricket stumps there to make it a bit more difficult. Sure. Another one that we do is whereby after people have bowled, we measure all the bowls the distance from the jack with a stick that's 2 foot long, and anything outside of that stick doesn't count.
Right.
So hopefully it improves people's accuracy within the club. Sure. A couple of times of year we dine out. At the end of the season we have a presentation evening, and everybody attends that, and the competitions that are held within the club, the trophies are presented for that. We have a Christmas dinner. We now tend to hold that in January.
Of course, why not?
Well, it's because last year the place we were booked at was on the top of a hill, and we couldn't get there.
I can completely understand about last winter,
Not only could we not get there, the cook couldn't either. So
right, yeah.
Sure. So we now have it in January, which everybody seems to prefer.
Absolutely,
actually.
Yeah.
And in December this year, 12 members of the club are going down to TLH Leisure in Torquay for a full 5-day bowls tournament.
Great.
So, in all, the club is very active. We have, as I said, 34 members. Most of those are retired. We would love to welcome new members, younger members.
Of course, yeah.
Apart from the bowling that we do around here, if there are people who are really keen, there is a Somerset County League.
Right.
There is an Avon County League, and there are also national teams.
Wow.
So there is the opportunity,
of course,
for people to progress if they wish. But anybody who is interested, they can either come along to our club on a Monday or a Thursday evening, or contact us through our website, which I'm sure you will put.
We will put everything up at the end of the programme.
On after. Yes. Even if you don't live in Hutton, we can put you in contact with a club that will be near you somewhere.
Sure.
I was just interested talking to you before we began, and particularly in relation to older members, because you've had quite an interesting life, really. I mean, you had a period in the army and you've done various other things. And I think that's, a good example, if you like. So I think a lot of people who get older get worried about what they should do next and how they, and I think, yeah?
Yes, for lots of people within the club, it gets them out of the house 2 nights a week, meet with other people, most friendly.
That's good.
And, and the opportunity to go off to other clubs if people want to. So, it is the interactive bit within the club that keeps people going.
Good.
And does short mat bowls vary greatly from the normal traditional bowls?
It does.
In many ways?
The mat is between 40 and 45 feet long.
Right.
And obviously that fits into the average village hall.
Of course, yeah. Yes.
And, it's 6 foot wide. There is a wooden block in the middle of the mat to stop people firing at the woods, although some people still manage to do it.
That would be me.
And, it is... Rules are very similar to outdoor bowling, but it's on a short mat. That sort of... I believe that some time ago, short mat bowling started in Wales, where 2 South Africans had moved to Wales, had been used to outdoor bowling, couldn't do it because of the weather, and started the short mat indoor bowling.
Oh,
apparently that's how it started many years ago.
Interesting as that.
Absolutely. Great. Well, let's hope this programme will get you lots more members.
Let's hope
I'd really
so.
like to hear about that if it did. Great.
Good.
Thank you
very much.
Well, earlier, actually, we looked at some very interesting equipment. And perhaps we'll have a little look at that now. Well, as you can see down here, actually, we've got a whole range of quite interesting looking kit in relation to archery. And Paul here is, I think, holding the oldest and, as it were, the evolution, the beginning of the evolutionary cycle of the bow. Yep. Perhaps you'd like to talk us through these things.
Okay. This is a traditional English longbow, and it's been around for many hundreds of years, and really was the mainstay of the English armies back in the medieval times. And this particular bow will pull around about 55 pounds. So every time you pull the string back, it's about 55 pounds. But when you consider the medieval archer, he was drawing something like 120 to 180 pounds. So quite remarkable, really, when you think about the sheer power that's in this bow. And they were very much traditional in terms of the arrows. This is an arrow with a bodkin on it, and but they used to have broad heads, things that made big holes, created lots of damage, and they didn't necessarily have to kill you, because all they had to do was just take the enemy off the horse. And most of the enemy were in armour, and some of these were armour piercing as well. And but over the years, it's developed. This is still very much a favourite of mine, because I use it for sort of non-recreational or recreational more than the competitive side. But then bows started to begin to develop into one pieces, and this is just a one piece, and it's used for bare bow, so no sights on it.
Right.
And again, this one here pulls around about 45 pounds, so it's quite a lot, and lots of power in it. Made out of laminated fiberglass and wood. As you can see, it's beautifully marked. But again, it's limited in terms of its accuracy. So you then come on to what is now the Olympic form of bow, which is a recurve. And this one, is very much the type of thing that you would see in the Olympic Games. Quite a lot of little gizmos on it, but it comes into 3 parts. So the handle, or commonly known as the riser, then the limbs, they separate and come apart. When the string goes on, it holds it all under a lot of tension. And again, this one, around about 43 on my draw. My draw length is quite long, so it's a 43-pound draw length. But now you can see the advance of technology coming into this, and if you look at the sights, that helps us to aim. The Olympic distance is 70 metres, so it's a fairer distance. You've got what's called a button and an arrow rest, and this helps the arrow fly straighter. Imagine they're coming off the bow at around about 250 miles an hour. So
wow.
They're coming off at a fair old clip.
Yes, really.
With any bow, though, just like a rifle, for example, there's recoil. Yes. So you have a stabilising system. And the idea of the long rod, which goes out to the front, is to take all the power forward. So it reduces that recoil. So that when you release, it doesn't go up into the air. And if you've watched the archers on TV, what happens is when they release the arrow, you'll see the bow go down. It just dips. Yeah. And that gets pulled by that. It also allows the arrow to be clear of the bow as it goes. So there's minimal movement. And again, you bring it up, and it's quite a fair bit of power in that one as well. Far more accurate. Technology never stands still, does it?
No, that's right.
And one of the things that has come from the recurve is the compound bow. Commonly known amongst archers as the dark side. Because suddenly we have a bow that is at the height of its technology, really is, we're talking telescopic sights.
Absolutely.
So if you have a look on the end here, telescopic sight brings the target in much closer. A launcher, which holds the arrow nice and straight, they're absolutely straight. But this one gets pulled back with a release aid. So on here, it clips onto here. And as it comes back, and if you just watch the bow as it comes back, you'll see that there's a lot of power there, and now just watch.
Right.
It dips.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now I can hold that nearly all day.
Right.
And when it gets released, the pulleys and the cams come into effect and literally just slingshot the arrow through the air.
Wow.
And that will go off the bow at around 300, 350 miles an hour.
Heavens.
Wow.
And it has, unfortunately, made an introduction in America. I say unfortunately because they use it for hunting, and which I'm not particularly keen on.
No.
But if you imagine this here is pulling at around 55 pounds, that's the pull weight to the let off, and then I'm holding about 15, 20 pounds in total. But some of these bows go up to 60, 70, 80, 90 pounds of draw. So quite remarkable piece of technology.
Okay, Paul. So you're here from the Gordano Valley Archery Club, yes?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
And is it in the valley?
It's actually now on the edge of the valley. We were originally in the valley itself when we established ourselves, 7 years ago now, in 2004. So it seemed appropriate to call ourselves the Gordano Valley Archers, so that we held a tradition, based on our sort of home ground. We've moved now. We're right on the edge of the valley, but we're still in the valley, but right at the top of the hill. So we're based at the Down School at Wraxall.
Right.
And which has offered us a fantastic sort of opportunity to develop our sport, because it offers us both indoor and outdoor facilities. And we also needed somewhere as well bigger, because we have over 120 members in the club.
Fantastic.
And although we are the youngest club in Somerset, and Somerset's the county that we're affiliated to, we are actually, in terms of numbers, the biggest. Not quite sure how we've achieved that. Some of it's a bit of a mystery. But
you're doing something right.
We must be doing something right. I'm not quite. Sometimes we're not quite sure what it is, but we seem to be doing something right. I think our biggest appeal is the fact that we're a family club. Right. So we do have our competitive archers. We do have our archers that are looking at county and national level. But really, we're sort of the majority of our club come from sort of families that just come and do it for a bit of fun, for recreation.
You were saying before we started that you have one family of three generations at least.
Yeah.
And your youngest archer is
It's 5.
5, and your oldest is
80.
Well, there you go.
So and it really is. I think archery is one of those sports that appeals to everybody.
Yes.
Because you can have a whole family on the shooting line at the same time.
Yeah.
It's not like football or rugby, which are mainstream sports where we go along and watch one person in the family. But it also appeals to people of all ability.
Quite.
And all disability as well.
Absolutely.
My club has blind archers, or archers
Really?
with blind. Yeah. Remarkable, absolutely remarkable to watch that lady shoot. It's incredible. But we have archers who are in wheelchairs and have a whole range of sort of physical or emotional sort of difficulties, and archery just produces that sort of that recreation. It has an outlet. And I mean, recently we've just aligned ourselves to St. Peter's Hospice, which is actually on the same grounds as Wraxall, or the Downs at Wraxall.
Yeah.
And our offer is open for respite for the children themselves. And yesterday we had 3 of the children who unfortunately attend the hospital, but they come down and have some fun with us.
Oh, that's
good.
wonderful.
And that's the sort of thing that
Absolutely.
we really see ourselves doing.
Yes.
And it just produces for us a good feel factor.
Definitely.
But also as well, because archery is such a sport that attracts everybody from all walks of life. We're a great social bunch as well. And just like yourself, we have our Christmas meal, which is our presentation. Yeah, we're going to hold ours in January as well. I'm not saying
Becoming a theme here.
it wasn't. I don't think it's for the same reason. I think a lot of families were saying it's cheaper in January than it is at Christmas.
That's true. Good
But
point.
we do a lot of social shoots, and I mean we've just done a Halloween shoot where the children were shooting at pumpkins, and if they hit the pumpkin, then they got sort of these bitter sweets, and they put 2 pumpkins there, and one of them was me. And it was my pumpkin.
Right, that's a bit worrying.
They got hit the most. And I'm thinking,
Do
hang on a
I?
minute, what have I done wrong here?
Sure.
I think it was the bigger pumpkin stuff. But we do lots and lots of different things like that to attract children and make it interesting. And I think, there is a competitive side to our sport. And, with the Olympics just around the corner, archery is an Olympic sport. Will generate a huge interest. Particularly this year, now that it's
course, yes.
next year when it's in our country. But I think that the fact we can have so many different things going on, and we have all sorts of different shoots. So that we have fun shoots. Yeah. We've played mini golf. It's trying to shoot around the golf course, but making sure that you're safe with little jelly bows and things like that. But I think that, the children love it, and I have to say the adults do as well, because they shoot for chocolate, and it's amazing how many people get competitive.
Oh, I can that. And we all like to be children from time to time.
Yeah,
Which is great.
I'm afraid I can't resist the occasion, of course, now that we've got an archer in front of us, to talk about the famous English 2-fingered salute.
Which version do you want?
Well, I'd like the one which related to the French cutting the fingers off archers when they caught them, yes?
Yeah. Well, in 1415, there was an edict sent from the French king that any English archer or longbowman caught on the battlefield should have his 2 fingers chopped off.
Yeah.
And in order so that he couldn't go back onto the battlefield and do it again, because we were remarkably accurate and caused chaos amongst the French knights. And at the end of the battle, the English archers were coming out and looking at all the French captives and say, we've still got our 2 fingers, which has taken on several,
Indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
But originally it was just, we've got our 2 fingers and left or right, it doesn't really matter. But it's one of those sort of famous stories which has actually endeared our sport, because I think one of the things to realise about our sport is that it first off became something that we did for hunting. Yeah. Then it became something that we did for war, and now it's become recreational. But we have in this country such a huge history of archery. You know, we've had really famous sports like football and golf and cricket banned because it was interfering with the archery practice. And even today on statute, it still says that every able-bodied Englishman should practice his archery after church on a Sunday. And I obey the law of the land.
Indeed. Perhaps we all should do that.
But you know, it's something which I think there was a vicar in the Midlands whose congregation was getting very small, and she invoked this statute. And that one Sunday, it was a congregation, a church was full because she put archery on in the vicarage grounds.
That's a fantastic idea. I like that.
Yep,
I like the sound of that.
But it's still on statute today.
Fantastic.
And, so I obey the law of the land every weekend.
Wonderful.
Well, look, it's really kind of you both to have come.
Absolutely.
And again, as we said with the bowls, we will be putting all the details of the Gordano Archers and yourself up for people to see at the end of the programme. And when I take both of you, we'll be perfectly welcome to see more. You might be the biggest club in Somerset, but see more members.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's something which, because we appeal to everybody, all age ranges. I think if anybody, we welcome with open arms anybody that wants to enjoy our sport.
Thank you both for coming.
Thank you very much indeed.
And,
good to meet you both. And nice to know you represent very different sports, but equally good for everybody, entertaining, can be competitive, and a good social side as well. And what more could anybody ask?
And finally,
fantastic.
Thank you for watching.
Indeed.
And come again next week. We'll be here again next week. And nice to see you, and goodbye.
Bye.